What's going on, chicken friends? It's Donna Little from the Coop Scoop, and I know I've already mentioned this before in a couple of shorts and even in a video, but my chickens are molting, and this is just a really strange time of year because I live in the South and it is not normally almost time for winter. We are usually warm well into October, so I don't know why they're molting early this year, but they are. But I thought if you guys are new to chicken keeping and this is something that you've never experienced, it might be something that's a little shocking the first time you see it, because you might walk out into your chicken coop one morning and have not noticed that anybody was losing feathers, and all of a sudden it's going to look like somebody ripped a feather pillow open in your coop, or you come out into the yard and there's just a pile of feathers. Like there are in my yard, because my chickens like to lay up by the house and it literally looks like a chicken blew up there. So just be prepared for this, because this is something that's perfectly normal and natural that happens pretty much every single year. And it's just preparing your chickens to get their nice new feathers for winter, and that's how they're going to stay warm. Now, if you are in your first year of chicken keeping and you have chickens that are 4 months old, or 5-6 months old, they might not molt this year. A lot of times they don't in their first year of life. If they're maybe already a year old or so, they probably will. They also don't always molt every single year, but right now, out of all of my chickens, I think I only have 2 that haven't started molting yet. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but they haven't started molting yet. So right now I've got a bunch of scraggly looking ladies out here. It is not a pretty process, but it's something that has to happen. And if you've not had, or you don't have any chickens that are beyond a year old and you've never had any, you'll notice as they get a little bit older, they get a little wear and tear on them. They start to look really raggedy. Like I've got some, Maisie really needs to do a heavy molt. Her feathers just look like a mess. She may or may not. She's molted lightly already, but it needs to be more than that. So be prepared that some of your chickens might molt really hard, and some of them might molt really lightly to where you barely even notice it. Sometimes you're gonna see over the course of a few days that one of your chickens goes from looking this big to this big because half of their feathers are gone. Don't be alarmed though, it's probably just molting. Now, if you notice your chickens really over preening and they're scratching a lot and itching a lot, and you see some feather loss and you're not seeing any feathers grow back in, then you might be looking at something else. Maybe your chickens have mites or something, and you can check them over. It's especially easy to do if you go out at night with a little headlamp on, or get somebody to hold a flashlight for you, and you can check them out, because that's when mites are most active. That might be a whole different ball game. Most likely though, if it's this time of year or on into late fall and you start noticing some of your chickens losing their feathers, it probably is just molting. Now, I have got some that look pretty rough, and then I've got some that are, you might not really notice it if you didn't know that particular chicken. Delilah's walking past me right now, and her little rear end is just bald. But this is something that does have to happen, and it does help them to grow all those new feathers back to get them through the winter. However, you're going to maybe notice that some of your chickens, while they're molting, especially if they're losing a lot of feathers, are really not feeling good. Something else to be prepared for: if your chickens are really friendly like mine are, they don't really like to be handled. I don't know if molting actually is painful for them, but it's definitely uncomfortable if nothing else. They don't like to be picked up, they don't like to be handled, and I think that it is very uncomfortable when the new feathers start to come back in. You'll see them a lot of times really scratching at them and that sort of thing, but even Charlotte, if you watch my channel, you know who Charlotte is. She loves to be with you and sit with me, and she does not really want me to put my hands on her. So it is definitely uncomfortable if nothing else, but sometimes if it's really a heavy molt, then they're just not going to feel good. Last year when one of mine molted, it was late in the season. I want to say Mabel molted in December or January. so it was cold. And she lost so many feathers, the poor thing, I had to end up bringing her in the house. So if you have one that molts and it's already really, really cold outside, and it will happen sometimes, be prepared to supplement heat in some form or fashion if you think they're not going to be able to keep themselves warm. It would be like the equivalent of you know, having to go do something outside and not being able to wear a coat. So keep that in mind, that they might need that. I did bring her in. Now, because I'm in the South, you know, it was cold for 3 or 4 days in a row, and I was still able to let her come outside during the day because it warmed up enough, and I was just bringing her in at night, and then next thing you knew, it was back in the 60s and 70s, so we are fortunate like that, but just, you know, be ready to potentially have to help them stay warm enough. Something that you might also have to do, though, if you really see them struggling and not feeling good and having really low energy, is you might have to supplement them with something like electrolytes, or you can go to any farm store or order it off of Amazon or something like that. You can get electrolytes with vitamins in it, and that'll give them a little extra boost. And that's the easiest way to get that into their bodies, is just to put it in their water. I give mine probiotics in their water also during the winter. I know you can make your own electrolytes. I've not done that ever. I just go and buy it, but you can look that up if you don't want to spend the money on it. You can also, and so this is something that I do pretty much every day when they're molting, is I'll supplement their diet a little bit. You don't need to go crazy with the added protein. I know some people will say, you know, I'm just giving mine nothing but, you know, things loaded with protein. That can be a little bit too much, so you don't want to do that. But I'll scramble them up some eggs every day. I've got 26 chickens, and I'll maybe do a half a dozen eggs and scramble those up, and, you know, maybe put some garlic in there with it and some herbs, and, you know, just give them that little extra boost that they need to help them regrow those feathers. It takes a lot of energy from them to grow those feathers back. I'll also boil them some eggs, but I give them just stuff out of the fridge, you know, so I can give them a little bit more of a variety in their diet, you know, some veggies that are left over, or even a little bit of meat. They love meat, and that's good little added protein for them. So you can do that sort of thing, and that'll help them to just get through it. Now, it's something that's a process. Sometimes it can take several months for their feathers to be fully back in, so don't be alarmed if it seems like it's taken forever. They'll be losing the feathers over the course of days and days, and then it just takes a while for them to all grow back in. So if you do see the pin feathers coming back in, sometimes people go like, I'll see people in the chicken groups going, what is this? Like, my chicken has this bald spot, and all of a sudden there are these little, it looks like little sticks or something coming out of them. That is just their new feathers growing back in. So don't be alarmed when you see that, because that is their new winter coat coming back in. So don't be, you know, worried about that. But those are some of the things. Like I said, just make sure they're staying warm enough, and make sure that you give them a little extra protein and a little bit of electrolytes and vitamins in their water to get them through this. And that's about it, all I can think of. Oh, something else that you can give them that mine love, and I've been growing them myself, but I didn't grow any this year, is black soldier fly larvae. That'll help give them a little boost, and they absolutely love black soldier fly larvae. So if you can go to the local feed store, you can find those in probably anywhere in any local feed store, and also online. So that is something else you can give them that'll help them feel a little bit better and get through this. I hope you guys are enjoying our content, and if you are, hit that subscribe button and notification bell, and stick around so you don't miss anything, and have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys in the next video.